CIA kidnaps children for sex slave purposes. Ted Gunderson worked for the FBI, and he rose to a position whereby he had 700 people under his command, and the community had 14 million people. Once he retired, he continued to do some investigative work in special cases. He got involved with the Raymond Bucky McMartin daycare trial of Manhattan Beach, California, and during this investigation, he made a terrible discovery. In the highest places of our government, terrible crimes are being committed against children, and many know about it, but they do not talk because they are part of it. When you try to expose it, you run into roadblocks and cover-ups, because if you knew who was involved, your world would be turned upside down. The CIA is involved in the trafficking of children for sex slave programming purposes. They take boys and girls, and many of them are killed because some of the customers are murderers and they enjoy raping and murdering a child. Sometimes the child survives, but rarely remembers what was done to her or him, but not always. One little girl remembers because she had an accident and her memories came back to her, just as Andy Perro's memories came back to him. Andy Perro is another CIA victim, but he was an assassin. The little girl's name is Bryce Taylor. She was subdued by the CIA in the 1980s. Her book, Thanks for the Memories, gives her personal testimony. On page 190, chapter 22, is the Hollywood connection. She reports that she was passed around Hollywood to do sexual favors for many of the biggest stars, and if you heard the list, you'd be appalled. She tells of being owned by Bob Hope, who used her for his own sexual pleasures at a very young age, and then passed her around to performers like Neil Diamond, Quincy Jones, Burt Reynolds, Eddie Murphy, Mickey Rooney, and others. When Bryce got older and had a little girl herself, Mickey Rooney had Bryce's daughter give him oral sex, and he wanted the mother, Bryce, to watch. Bryce mentions James Taylor as a client that Bob Hope sent her to service. Like the dope business, it's very lucrative, so you can be sure that the CIA is there to extract all the profits from this illegal slave trade. While profits motivate the CIA, what is life like for the parents of the kidnapped child? While Bryce Taylor was able to recall what happened to her, most are not. The CIA brainwashes them, hypnotizes them, and they are not only doing this to children. Bryce Taylor reports that many of those that you consider stars are also under the spell of the CIA. And of course, the CIA is owned by their controllers. This is the unnamed group that some people call the Illuminati. Some people call them the slave masters, the Nazis, and so on. We'll save the report of the stars who are under the spell of the CIA for another video. Today we're going to focus on the children that are vanishing at the hands of a lawless CIA. How many children does the CIA take each year? What do you suppose the parents of the children have to go through? I looked today on Yahoo News and I found an article of a 6-year-old girl who was taken. And I don't know if the CIA took this little girl, but the story is current and it gives you an idea of how much the parents suffer when their child is taken. Imagine this happening 30,000 times a year, 2,500 times a month. Is that enough suffering to want an end to this? As I read this article, just imagine how many children are taken and what the child goes through and how the parents suffer as a result of a corrupt CIA who knows no limits in their greed and in their crimes. If this story moves you, please get involved. Try to make others aware of this. You can make videos, or you can take the Ted Gunderson videos and post them everywhere. Post links everywhere. Blogs. You can use my video. Just copy it. Put it up on your own channel. What if 10 people did this every day? Each one of you would be putting out this message and making others aware of the crimes that are being committed against children in this country. We cannot allow this to continue. Here's the article. No clues in the search for a 6-year-old Tucson girl, by Terry Tang, Associated Press, 4 hours ago, April 22, 2012. An alley behind the street where a 6-year-old Tucson girl went missing from. A flyer for missing 6-year-old girl. Tucson, Arizona, Associated Press. The parents of a missing 6-year-old Arizona girl asked their parish priest for prayers Sunday as volunteers passed out flyers across Tucson, and more than 150 law enforcement officers tried to figure out whether she had been abducted. Tucson Police Chief Roberto Villaseñor said at an afternoon news conference that officers working the case had served at least 2 search warrants, but had no clues in the disappearance of first grader Isabel Mercedes Celis. He said the girl's parents, identified by friends as Becky and Sergio Celis, were helpful as police worked to find their youngest child. He said police were still classifying the case as a suspicious disappearance, possible abduction. Quote, "We are not ruling anything out of the investigation at this point because we really need to keep our mind open about all the information that's been brought to us," unquote, Villaseñor said. Quote, "The family has been cooperating with us," unquote. Officers kept the whole neighborhood block where Isabel lives cordoned off for a second day and fanned out over a wide area looking for clues to the possible kidnapping. The Celises last saw their daughter in her bedroom at their Tucson home at 11 p.m. Friday and discovered her missing at about 8 a.m. Saturday, police spokesman Sergeant Maria Hawk said. The parents phoned 911 minutes later. Mary Littlehorn, who has worked with Becky Celis as a registered nurse at Tucson Medical Center for 5 years, said the couple has been together since they were teenagers and doted on their sons and daughter. She said Isabel, whose nickname is Isa, loved to play baseball and dance. The girl was supposed to play in a baseball game Saturday. "She's just the sweetest. She is feisty. She is full of life and spirit," Littlehorn said. Littlehorn, who gathered Sunday with other family friends at a police command post, said authorities separated the 2 parents for hours Saturday as they questioned them. She said it was difficult for them knowing their little girl was out there somewhere. Quote, "She hasn't been allowed to help look for her daughter," unquote, Littlehorn said of Becky Celis. She said she spent a lot of time with the family, visited with them in their home, and their families shared babysitting responsibilities. She said Becky Celis is a registered nurse in the pediatrics unit, and Sergio Celis is a dental hygienist. She said there's no way anyone in the family is involved in the disappearance. Quote, "We all feel this is somebody who's been watching Isa for some amount of time to know where her bedroom is," unquote, Littlehorn said. Littlehorn said she heard from others in the family social circle that a window screen in the girl's bedroom has been knocked down. Hawk confirmed, quote, "suspicious circumstances around a possible entry point," unquote, but declined to elaborate. At St. Joseph Parish on Sunday morning, the parents and their 2 sons attended an early mass, and Deacon Leon Massa described the parents as, quote, "very upset," unquote. Quote, "We didn't ask for any information. We just let them know if they need help, come see us," unquote, Massa said. Parish priest Miguel Mariano said the family regularly attends Mass and said he asked the parents if they needed any help from the congregation. Quote, "And then they said, 'No, Father, just prayers,'" unquote, Mariano said. The couple hurried off, saying they were going to meet with the police. The Catholic Church and its school are just down the street from the family's home, and Mariano said in his sermon that he hoped whoever has Isabel has a change of heart. Quote, "I feel in the name of the community, we feel we are violated," unquote, he said later. Investigators were looking into various scenarios, including the possibility Isabel wandered out of the home she shares with her parents and 2 brothers. Hawk said Sunday the wandering off theory has become less likely as time passed. Authorities said they have also started the process of checking on the whereabouts of sex offenders in that area. They said talking with them was standard procedure. Karen Hebert, another registered nurse, said Sunday that she has worked with the girl's mother for the past 6 months. Hebert, with help from her dog, planned to help with the search. Quote, she talks very highly about her kids, how smart they are, how playful they are. She just lights up and smiles when she's talking about them, unquote, Hebert said. Quote, with all the hurt I'm feeling, I can't imagine what they're going through, unquote. After a fruitless day of searching Saturday, numerous patrol and search and rescue personnel continue the hunt Sunday morning, Hawk said. She said that at any given time, 75 to 100 officers were taking part, including police, FBI agents, and deputy U.S. Marshals. Teams combed a large swath of Tucson on Saturday into the evening using street patrols, dogs, and a helicopter. At one point late Saturday, communications operator Patrick Olea said the area encompassed, quote, pretty much the entire east side, unquote. The girl's home is situated in a working-class neighborhood sandwiched between a shopping mall to the east and businesses and the Catholic school and the church to the west. Police were keeping anyone but residents out of the neighborhood on Sunday. A